Hello, this is a video showing how I'm fixing the play in the front rack and pinion on a Kubota Bx25D. So if I move this wheel, you can see how the rack and pinion actually slides in now. I measured that slop or free play to be about 35 thou. Since I'm the happy owner of a 3-axis CNC milling machine, I purchased some 32 thou aluminum shim stock, and I machined this shim, this custom shim, to fit between the snap ring on the rack and pinion and the actual cylinder housing or cylinder bracket. So the inside diameter will sit on top of the cylinder, and this little opening here is a little bit larger than the width of the ram, so that it can slide over without taking off any of the front steering components other than the mounting bracket. So the first step is to remove that power steering rack and pinion bracket, and this is the only part that I need to remove to install this shim. So I'm just simply going to use a 14mm wrench and remove this bolt as well as the one down below, and then that front bracket will just slide out. I'll show you. So now I've removed those bolts. The nice thing about this is you don't have to remove any of your implements. I still have the mower deck on and the loader. So now those bolts are removed, I can actually just slide this bracket out and just rest it on the actual ram. Next step, I can just simply slide the shim on over the ram and then push it back so it sits on top of the power steering housing like that. I tip it down so that any debris and whatnot is more apt to fall out, and then simply reinstall the bracket. So now I have the bolts back into the front axle, so the bracket is secured to the front axle, and the shim is in place. So if I do the same test on the steering wheel, move it back and forth, there is no more slop or no more noticeable slop in the front end. And this is just an underview. You can see the actual bracket that's mounted to the front axle. You can see the shim right there, the aluminum shining, and then the snap ring that actually snaps around the rack and pinion. So that's where the shim sits, just sandwiched between those two items, and that eats up all the free play. This tractor only had 10 hours on it when I noticed it last weekend that there was a not really an audible clunk, but definitely some sort of clunk you could feel right through the frame of the tractor. So that's what led me to look for it. So I thought that much free play on an hour on a tractor with only 10 hours was a little bit odd. So I went down to the Home Depot that rents these tractors, and the same one down there had the same slop in the front end. I went back to the dealer, and there was 3 Bx25s on site. They all had the same slop as well as the Bx23. So I think this really is just a characteristic of this tractor, where most of them are going to have that little bit of free play in the rack and pinion that slides back and forth, and maybe some of you guys notice it and some of you don't. If you are one of the ones that notice it, chances are it drives you nuts, just like it drove me nuts, and that's why I was really driven to find a solution. If you're interested in one of these shims, just leave a comment in the comments after this video, or alternatively, I can just leave an eBay link, and I'll put a couple of these on eBay in case this is something you're interested in, if your tractor is suffering these same circumstances. Thanks very much for watching.